A topic again. Wasn't this asked last time? Goodness me, having to fill in these these tags is such a waste of time. Hmm, goodness. Yeah, here we are. Oh, hello. There we go. I thought TikTok wouldn't pick up my voice. Now let's make the stream marinate and then I get to the usual. Live it isn't Vesper. Hello, darling. Holy guacamole, Rob. I am starting rather early today, aren't I? I love glad to catch streams, says Vesper. I'm glad to see you here, of course. Ingrid. Ingrid Knight. Wow. Nice name. Gal says I just came back from my trip. Felt tired. How about you go get some rest? Seems like you need it. I'll see you around, Gal. You may need to change the angle of this one a bit. Hi, Axiom. Maybe here. Let's just pan it continuously until we find an angle that is deemed good. Maybe a bit of a side view. There's spin too. Hi. And there's me. Another day in the district, huh? Oh, Geb, you haven't recovered from your little financial debacle, haven't you? Mm-mm. If anything, it's just more expenditures. Gosh. See you around, Karma. Good luck with your AP economics thing. Perfect timing, says Kellex. Also, Anubis, I saw that. Thank you so much. Jump starting the stream as always. Kellex says, perfect timing. I'm going to bed now, and this is perfect for relaxing. I love your content. Thanks. Where's my good old... Yep. There we go. I did a bit of adjustments with my trackers. It actually now follows my body properly. I can... What a big quality of life upgrade. Well, Holy Guacamole is sending over a gift sub to none other than Axiom, our number one Gib. It's only 9 p.m. today. Yeah, that's true. Good morning, Cass. How's your robotic friends? They're the same as always. Probably have been doing the same routine for the past. God Houseman knows how many years. How do you say that phrase? God knows how many years. Yes. This is the first time I've seen your model in full body. Really? I mean, good old regular me. Yeah, well, what can I say? What? You don't like seeing me in full body? Fine, I'll keep the camera here, as how it always have been. Yeah, being classy as always, of course, you know me. No, we do, says Ingrid. Golden Dragon says, hey, cutie Gampas. Cutie Gampas. Are we allowed to get toe beans? What do you mean? This is a mod. It's so beautiful. What do you mean? Beautiful. A mod? It's just VR chat, baseline VR chat. There's nothing really changed or modified about it, especially with the advent of EAC. I can't change anything. Hi there, darling. Bella, Drakey. Lafon, she was asking for words of wisdom. Remember, when in doubt, don't. Why, if it isn't Matthew? Nice seeing you here. Sure. Why do you sound so expensive? Me? Expensive? I take it you haven't been here during my last stream, which was 2 days ago. My life savings. They've been cut in half, chat. Expenditures. Who would have thought controllers would cost so much? My mind is blanking with how smooth the graphics, the motion sensor is. The motion. The motion. Did you know last night I was thinking for quite a bit if I should go get Vive 3.0 trackers. They are, well, significantly more accurate than the slimes I'm using. But then again, I don't really move much, don't I? And they seem to be doing the job just fine. Did you get the refund yet? Unfortunately, not, Anubis. This morning, I phoned the company that, well, owes me the refund, but unfortunately, that we're still processing it, sir. It's under investigation. You're floating. No, I'm not. Here, have a good look. You see that? Chat, I am sitting ever so slightly by the edge of that box, and my tail is also conveniently cradled inside, yes. I am stepping on litter again as always. Ugh. Well, what can we do? Film noir game. Yes. What? That's just. What's a good angle? Maybe like this. There. Hey, it's Android. I have a feeling Lipstick 14. I see you, punkies over there. Lipstick 14 is gonna run into me again. On purpose. As he always does. He always does. That would be a killer game or movie. Wait, I'm out of frame. There we go. I'm watching you, punk. You see that? Yeah, you better move along. That's right. Keep walking. What's this? Ingrid's asking, can I try something on? Well, as long as it's something positive, yeah, go ahead. What's this? What world is this? This is called District Roboto. This. Oh, yeah. You sound like someone I know. Alright, go ahead. Geb, do you have any horror movie recommendations? The Hills Have Eyes, Event Horizon, that's a classic. Lawrence Fishburne. And what else gave me the spooks? The Spear. Thank you, Eli. Wow, you look like you're doing a commercial. Hi, Chan. So most of you have been thinking, can VR chat get any better? Can we actually get like graphics in a VR game that's just meant for socializing? Well, here you are, chat. Presenting VR Chat Pro Max. For every VR Chat Plus 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 subscriber, you unlock the maximum graphical fidelity that the game actually offers. You get higher refresh rates for your tracking, especially with the OSC data being pushed. You have a maximum upgrade of 1024 parameters instead of 256, and many more. Watch the dev stream for the actual announcement of the patch notes, but here's a little teaser what can happen. For legal purposes, that was just a joke. Dresic says, I don't know many people who know of the spear. You should. You should watch it. It's fantastic. It's really scared me back then. What's this? You sound like my love. Are you telling me I sound like your significant other? Oh, I can count my significant trustees. And I don't know anybody named Ingrid. That's me. What's this? I'm new to your channel, ask Molay. So what's going on right now? I'm just chatting. Was this made on VTube Studio? No. As I've said, this is VR chat. Behold. Oh wait, no, that's not the angle. Behold the district. Let me put up the aperture so you can see where I am. Right? Right? Vesper says, honestly, we need to play more horror games at some point. It's a lot more fun with friends. Oh, yeah, it really is. Only Axiom can actually survive through 5 minutes of it. Your Sona is handsome. Thank you. I'm feeling intimidated. You be intimidated by a guy who's sitting by an old plastic crate outside a restaurant he can't even afford to dine in. All games are fun with friends, says Reem. That is true. The way your lighting looks proves that lighting means so much in VR chat. It's all about framing things, really. Make things look a little fancy, have close-ups every now and then so they're more personal and they hide your little flaws. How could you do that? It's high resolution. Funny, I'm only streaming at 1080p. To you. Doesn't your thumb end up bruised after flicking the coin so much? If anything, it actually made my thumb stronger from the number of repetitions of the flippings I do. Hi Geb, says Fizzy Coyote. Happy I could catch a stream. I love your videos on TikTok when they come across my feed. I hope all is well today. As well can be. They still haven't issued my refund yet, chat. I'm still short 700 bucks. To those unaware, a few days ago, my drawing tablet kind of died. Recalibrate. And yeah, so I bought a replacement. Unfortunately, the shop I ordered from double charged me and the refund is not instant. I have to wait 48 hours before it actually gets back into my bank. But that is not the case. Why if it isn't Exodus? Exodus. Vesper's friend, yes. You always warm up the streams with the random blue swirly things you toss my way. I remember those. What does the pinner brooch mean? Oh, this. It's a mark of affiliation and trust. Obviously, I'm the one with the progenitor of the design. Glad he shows. Hello, Savior. Savior. Seems like that's your preferred name of choice to Vesper accidents. In short, what does the arrow or the brooch mean? And that way, chat. Steam froze for me. A stream. I thought it was Steam. Heck, GTA is a lot harder than I remember. It'll be fun if there's like hardcore mods in GTA. Always nice getting your own. Ooh. Realistic, like shooting damage. If only they put bullet drop in and proper ballistics, I would have been more interested, keen to playing GTA with you, Axiom. If it had Helldivers weapon systems. Oh man. But alas. Nothing ruins it for me more in a game that involves firearms. When you shoot your firearm, right? Bang. You see your projectile traveling, but in reality, the projectile already hit. It's hit scan with false ballistics. Terrible. Helldivers time. I recently saw a patch from Arrowhead Studios. They were talking about weapon customizations of all things. Exciting. Thoughts on Red Dead Redemption 2? It's probably one of the best games ever made. It's so good I haven't actually finished it yet. Thank you, Kane. Why do you use these effects? Why not just use your face? Because I choose to. You can always scroll up if you wanna see another content creator. Code says, sadly, I'm going to have to disappear for a bit, but I should be back at some point. Bye for now. Well, go ahead and do your things. I'll still be here for the next 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thanks, Dara. Yep, it's in the game now. Attachments and stuff. Yeah, like. Do I even really use attachments in Helldivers? Oh, it would be so golden for me if they added like different ammunition types per guns. That's when the game becomes interesting. Less damage, but more penetration. My oh my. The versatility of your weapon of choice will be ever so expanded. Ah, alas. Oh my. Not even 5 seconds under the mercy of Vesper, which none was shown, that somebody who called me daddy was banned. I feel a bit sorry, but alas, that is my moderator's choice, not mine. You know, I can't see how many viewers I have. Where did it go? Ah, Docs. Which. Oh my. So the activity feed is missing. Where did it go? There it is. Oh, there's. Oh my god. See what I mean? There we go. No wonder my window was quite small. Stream information, huh? I'm sure I can fit it here. Probably. Okay, now for docs, I need Twitch stats. Let's keep that floating thing here, shall we? Hello. You wanna fit, buddy? There. Perfect. Anyway, where were we? Have you ever played Purple Place? Purple Place? What's Purple Place? Man, actively trying to resize your OBS windows definitely is not easy while you are using these funny VR controllers. I give up. There, a slight improvement. Okay, anyway, where were we? I could fall asleep to your voice. Really? I mean, now I'm making you sleepy. Go ahead. Purple Plains, says Vesper. A flash game. Hardly remember it. I just remember the cake minigame. Cake minigame? I haven't played much flash games now that I thought about it. I had a computer so bad even flash was lagging back then. Internet just as slow. I do believe I was still on dial-up when what was the name of that website? Newgrounds, was it? I kept on frequenting. Flash games, Adventure Quest, Neopets, all of the Stickman games. Um, what else? I think I watched more of the animations than anything. Back then, there was this VTuber. His name was Strongbad. He was a luchador, had a red mask and green eyes, if I remember correctly. You know, Strongbad. He has the squarest mouth of. Okay, never mind. You're probably too young to know who he is. What was that grow your dragon from an egg or something? I don't know, Fian. Can't remember. Hey, I'm old and I know Strongbad. Yeah! I love it when he moves. So when he moves, his chair's gonna make a sound like. It's the stupidest, funnest thing ever. But can you believe he wasn't a streamer? It was all pre-recorded content. But for the time, it was such an innovative thing because it was all interactive. He made games for the audiences. He made like interactive videos, which things you could click and like Easter eggs would come out. It was amazing, really. Nice tale, isn't it? It's inside my little box. I'm doing good, Turkish. Are you a voice actor? Goodness me. No, I have no professional experience. Unlike other people out there, I'm not going to call myself a voice actor unless I was actually paid for something. A stretch, huh? Probably a good time to grab my teeth. I can find where it is. Wow, there it is. I gotta grab it. There we go. Could have done this since earlier. Not really a stretch, but you know what I mean. Dear Gab, you don't look as cool today. What's with your strange posture? You seem troubled, down in the dumps, washed out. So undignified. I'm gonna drink. Yes, chat, I just used the hem of my shirt to wipe whatever is spilled. Good to see you in my FYP again. Thanks, Easy. Do you play any rhythm games? I remember back then in my old Android phone, I had this game called Tap Tap Revolution, I think. Yeah, it was just. How much is full body tracking? It really varies. If you want like the whole Vive trackers, they will run you like 150 each, and you need like a minimum of 3. I'm just using Slimes, which costed me like $230 for all of it. And I have arm tracking. Titus, that is a familiar name. Titus. So tempted to Google what it is. I really am. Titus. Gabe the Blob. I didn't read the bad life advice. Let's be honest, you'll probably go longer than planned. Like that depends. I normally extend stream times whenever interesting financial events happen. When money lands my way, Chan. They do say that time is gold, correct? Look at that little first time in your stream. Well, welcome. I don't think I've played Demo. What is that? Yeah, boss. You inspired me to start creating content. Congratulations. I hope you are most successful. As long as your content is actually good and nice. Please don't contribute to the already fetid pool of brain rot content that's flooding our social media platforms. Ugh. Sometimes when I'm like up awake in the night and I just check TikTok out of curiosity, it's just. Yeah, no, I'm just putting my phone down. Brain rot is good, no? For some people that like it, sure. But most definitely not within my spectrum of interest. Says the guy who has all his outdated goofy memes. Quick question, are you a dragon or a fox? I'm sorry, I'm confused. I understand your confusion. I think of me as both. Like a dragon fox thing. That should work better. So you see my big old fluffy tail inside the crate. You have my factory standard beans. Unfortunately, I don't come with a nose. Ooh, Gebus is Voldemort. Harry Potter. Hi there, Flynn. How are you? Could be better. Well, yeah. Dealing with the pain in the ass customer service. How? Please stay in the line. I'm not a bunny. Come on, get your eyes checked. Do these look like bunny ears to you? Granny. Vesper says, I'm glad my TikTok is mostly sleep token at the moment. Even then, some of the fans are unhinged. Yes. Do you draw? I do. I just haven't done any recently. My drawing tablet also broke a few days ago. Hence the source of my financial backle. If you do want to see some of my doodles though, you can always go to my Twitter. I think I have a bunch. I'm not like flaunting it or anything, but if you're curious. I just didn't remember Neopets had dragons. I know, my favorite character in Neopets was that snake with wings. I forgot what you call them. Stacia says, I'm guessing that world is from the game Cat. Don't think it's called Cat. it's called it's called Stray. Cat. That's like a bootleg title. Guacamole says, by the way, can I just say that I love how active you are on your Discord server? Most creators that I follow don't ever really interact with the Discords besides stream announcements. I wouldn't know. I'm not really in a lot. I think I'm only in one other creator Discord, which is from Crazed Kajit because she's my friend. I don't really watch other channels or mingle with other content creators. When I log into VR chat, it's either a stream, I hang out with my friends, or I log out and yeah, that's it. My favorite game, Cat. Yep, Game of the Year award, Cat. Akim says, God, I only played Minecraft when I was younger. Missed out on a lot of nostalgia. Don't make it sound like you played it when you were a kid. Minecraft came out, I was already in like college. Ooh, that's a big old estimate on how old Gebos is, isn't it? How old is Geb? A lot of people ask that. He seems to draw wisdom out from somebody in the upper stratum of age, like an old man. Somebody even called me a grandpa. I don't think I'm even there yet. Funny, my head has nothing but pure 99.9% black hair. I'm not that old, champ. I I started playing Minecraft when I was 10, says Action. Oh, damn, I feel old. Oh, hi there, Firehawk. Welcome back. Minecraft is 14 years old. Wow, I was. Man, 14? Oh, yeah, I was somewhere in college back then. You can speculate all you want, Seal. I'll neither confirm nor deny any age. Thank you, Winter. I saw a kitty. There is a lot of strays in this world, yes. Man, I really want to put my leg up here, but it's weird because it's gonna float. I have like a chair here. Ingrid said, I'm 25 and the kid younger of 4 years calls me grandma. Do you look like a grandma? Dressed like one, perchance? Hello, I'm new here. Hi there. What? How do I name you? I'll call you friendly there. I'm 38 and people call me grandpa in VR chat. That's why you tell them you're just 27 and then it's succeeding year after that. We don't count it. This year, I'm 27. Next year, well, what do you know? I'm turning 27 again. You'll focus on your schoolwork first, Firehawk. Must be strange seeing Gabo like, wow, he said full body this time. Did you do you know the reason why I actually have not been using this shot a whole lot where you can see more of my body. It's always just like halfway like this. It's because whenever I would bend down, like my slimes would like it would lift my lower body up. Now I can like actually bend down and it's working properly. for, for almost a year, chat. I don't know. Give me your best guess. Nice clothing. Thank you, Argenti. What's this? Vesper says, someone I got along with in environmental sciences called me grandma because I could only pace with the teacher on rougher terrain during our hike. Uneven ground and flexible ankles call for higher risk of injury, so I was taking it slow. That's smart. That's really smart. I think you should use like the hiking poles. You know, I forget. Hold on. Let's see what I can do. Or not. Hold on. Slash. Matthew. I am giving you the sword. Congratulations. You have been promoted to moderator. Wow. He has it and I don't have. Axiom, did you know you have been moderator on TikTok for like half a year now? You just never use it. Did you want the sword too? Yeah, and I still can't find this. Yes. Vesper says, there's some hiking trails maybe 40 minutes away. Haven't been there in a while, but I'd love to be able to take you there someday. Lots of sunscreen and bug spray too, of course. Of course! Bring a little blanket, maybe we can camp, have a little picnic. One of these days, laugh. Why, thank you, Sergeant Anderson. What's this? What's the sword? Moss. That means they have successfully been promoted to Twitch moderator. I've known Matthew for a couple of months now. End of story. He's a good guy there. Sure, Winter, sure. Man. Thank you for cooperating with me today, Controller. Biel says, I found out that my local library lends out them poles, so it's probably worth a try at least. Hiking poles. What's this? Vesper says, good guy, easy to talk to, fun to be around. Oh, Vesper singing high praises to you, Matthew. What do you know? Let's do the aperture trick. Cinematic. I like them as friends, buddy. Seal says the sword is used for knighting viewers to become mods. Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, goodbye. I knew it. Vesper says, nope, only ladies in his life. As Matthew said, don't ask those questions. Fair. They were warned, but they did not heed said warning. Brother Gib, are you still awake? Oh, gising pa ako. Kagising ko. Actually, hindi. Hindi pa ako natutulog. MGSB says, I haven't seen you in a while. Did you get a new version of your avatar? Yeah, around a month back. I did a bit of a visual upgrade. Expressiveness abound. They may perish for their humor. Matthew says, good, thanks, Bess. I'll need tips for more veteran mod. Friendly Twink just had to wait for the Patreon launch. Okay. Listen. There are many fish in the sea. We don't need to catch the poisonous ones. Gosh. So hi there, Shoppa. I like how you have a black kitty right after your name. Hmm. I need to find a way to have a gimmick. Like, you see, like, the lower part of the screen. There's gonna be, like, subtitles and then, like, my name here. Like in games. Oh, what's this? Why, if it isn't Ado giving me another raid. Hi there. Hi there, Care Kitsune. I like that you have a black kitty. It's true, they do have the cat emoji after their name seal. But yes, how are you, Raiders? What brings you to my humble abode? By humble abode, I mean down here in the streets. Did you guys have fun?
Almost forgot to give you the lasagna reward.
Lasagna? Oh my. Somebody bought me another tray of lasagna. Did you know? The other day, I was on a one-on-one call with Axiom because he was the only one online at the time. He asked for proof of me buying lasagna. And you know what I did? I took him to the place where I bought lasagna, which was conveniently like 30 seconds away from my apartment. Yes, I was walking around with my phone, taking a video of each and every step that I would make. That was fun. Also, thank you for the tray of lasagna. Actually, I told you the tray is only like that big. It's only that big. It's one serving, half maybe. So if you want to make me happy, chat, it's not buying me expensive jewelry or anything like that. I want stuff I can use. I want stuff I can eat. It just so happens that my friend Axiom here, again, sponsored a good old tray of a spaghetti cake. That sounds gross, but it's lasagna. Chocolate or lasagna, 100%. I will probably be afflicted by diabetes if it's nothing but chocolate. Don't get me wrong, I do love me a Cadbury bar. Milk chocolate, just the standard flavor. I'm the type who doesn't chew on the chocolate bar. I just put it in my mouth like this. And then break. And then I let it melt. Take its time. Let the flavors disperse. Do its job of giving me its chocolatey pleasure. So yeah, there we go. I love chocolate, chat. Hey, Illy, thank you so much for the raid. You go rest, okay? You go rest. I'll take care of your viewers. Bye. Sorry, TikTok. We had a raid. A raid is when a bunch of people from another streamer that just ended their stream plops by your stream. Hi there, Dom Nom. Oh, you know, I'm. Yes, recordings, yes. What time is it? It's 3:50 a.m. Hmm. Am I too early? Maybe I should have like streamed at 4:30 my time, the usual. Ah, the good old chocolatey goodness. Come on, Aperture, work with me, buddy. There we go. I see you, punk. I see you. I see you. Uh-uh. Yes. See you around, Ingrid. Axim says, God, I miss playing stuff with friends. Only if I had someone to play New Hell Divers with. I don't know. Man, if only I didn't have to struggle with finances and whatnot. I would have so much time to play games with friends. Hmm. Oh dear. Time is gold, time is gold. Oh, I don't know that. It was anonymous. What is your favorite snack or dessert? You know that probably has to be cheesecake. Cheesecake or plain old vanilla ice cream with some chocolate. Right, that one random fellow earlier. I have no idea who that is. Just an NPC strolling along. Thank you, Winter. I'll see you around. See you. Yeah, you take care too. So little viewers on TikTok. Maybe I should close it so my encoder doesn't get churned alive. Hmm. TikTok, do you want me to continue streaming or can I, you know, put my bandwidth? I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna get mad. Okay. Matthew says Anonymous is very generous. I know. I know all the same person named Anonymous, but varying scents, varying perfumes that they wear. One smells like garden fresh salad with some mangoes and carrots all diced and sliced. The other one smells of dishwashing soap. I'm not sure what, but very neat and tidy. Oh, Anonymous. I'll see you around, Fiel. You have a good rest. Matthew said, yeah, I read that. Favorite world on VR chat, says Vesper. I'm sure you've shown it to me before, but I don't remember names as well as I remember appearances. I am not sure. Um, hmm. I've I'm here in the district so often I kinda consider this home at this point. I only have the avatar testing chamber as my home world because that's where I go check my little edits and whatnot prior to diving into socializing or like what I'm doing now, streaming. Midnight Rooftop, the drama and the good moments I had there. Midnight Rooftop. Is it the one with the balcony? Matthew says, I love the chill map with. What? You mean it's the going home map where we're tired from work? We have a little funny smartphone with the flashlight. Sleepy Bunny says, I recently just got VR chat and I have no clue what I'm doing. Well, first thing you should do is probably find an identity that you can wear. Hmm. you know, fit some skin that you're comfortable in. Oh my. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. That's the number one thing I would advise to anybody, just hopping into VR chat. Happy birthday, Chrissy. Ahoy. Hello. Barkeep Aegir says, "Hey Gibbous, I've been getting your stuff on my socials a bunch lately, and I love all the content. You're from the Philippines, right?" "Correct. What is a Filipino food that you think everybody should try?" Sisig. SISI. 100%. You gotta try it. Have it served in a sizzling, like hot plate. That's how it should be consumed. Just thinking about it is making my mouth water. Sisig with some nice plain old white rice. My home is at Cloud Loft because I missed the message and I'm scrolling up. Mine's forever going to be the treehouse, but my home world is at Cloud Loft because I load in there much faster, says Vesper. Any map with images, please. Ah, yes. I remember where the map, we had an image pad action, and then we started loading up images of cows. I wonder what for. All I remember was having to do a whole lot of texture work after, that's for sure. I love me some sisig too, says Ingrid. And a sunny side egg. Yes, you have your sizzling sisig plopped into your table, right? And then you just crack an egg on top. It like viscously like flows and then cooks from the residual heat that's still going on. Delicious. Sisig looks amazing, it sure does. Yes, buddy? Okay, I'll see you around. Matthew says, "My favorite world is the one I found today. It's an astronomy world called Exoplanet Journey." Welcome to Exoplanet Journey. That is amazing. Have you explored everything there? Especially in the lower part where you observe a star, which turns into this, which turns into that. And then the existential crisis after. Who's the robot on your left? You know, I never really caught their name. They seem to be perpetually stuck in a loop of conversation with no real room for me to squeeze in. It looks like a full-on animation. Thanks. I'm just me, nothing fancy. Stretchy, do that. Okay. The last time Gib and I went to Exoplanet Journey, we looked at the black hole. Yo, ma. Yup. And joke, it was my mom. Yes. The Vespers. Ever so stellar origins. Aegir says, "I've never had sisig, though getting the meat might be hard. I'm in America and I don't know where to get the jowl and ear cuts that the recipe seems to want. All you gotta do is go to your local Filipino store and I'm for certain they're gonna have sisig or tapsilog. Either of the two." Yeah, boss. Do you see the POV we see or are you looking from your own? I am looking from my own, like here. Come on, you've seen how it looks like. Do you wanna see what I see, chat? Here. I hope this doesn't screw my camera, but here. So, this is what I see. Well, my overlay isn't loading, but here's my hand. There's my other hand. I'm looking down. It looks a little choppy from there, but trust me, it's smooth. Are your ears flexible enough to cover your eyes? I don't know. Yes, there's your answer. That 14 Android is an AI, I swear. He's into something. He always walks up to me, I swear. Eating. Is VR chat to virtual reality glasses? Correct. It's actually called a VR headset, but yeah. You just added that gimmick to your avatar. What? Lipstick 14 walking towards me. Mm-mm. Trust me, I have no control over the little runt of a robot's movements. Absolutely no control. What type of species? Oh dear. Take a guess. Oh, okay. God damn it, TikTok. There we go. TikTok thought I was inactive. Robot 14. Give him a hug, he needs it. For walking up to my face all the darn time. Yeah, sure. Dragon. Dragon these features that you're seeing right now. That's true. I have most of that. I just don't have the wings or the horns. I'm mostly foxy, as people call it. Cloudy says, it's 3 a.m. right now. Your voice is so soothing and helps me fall asleep again. Good night and sweet dreams, Cloudy. How apt of a name. Imagine just sinking your hands against the bosom of clouds, lulling you to slumber. I really have a fleeting feeling I am streaming a bit too early. Oh my. I'm going to bed. Have a nice rest of the stream. Good night. It looks like my nearest Filipino grocer, continues Aegir, is like 25 minutes away by car. Sadly, I kind of live in the middle of nowhere now. I do know a grocer that has pork belly. Is that an alright substitute? Absolutely. It's as long as it's anything pork. Did you know there's actually variants of sisig? You can substitute it just as easily with lean chicken meat, diced, of course. You can also use fish like bangus or milkfish. It goes very well. How long have you had 3D models for? A year? Yes, Imperial, I do. You should probably go visit me there. You get to see so much more over at that side of my stream. Mhm. Hmm. I'm so tempted to go try this over at the other district world. Probably should. Hi there, simple world. Sorry I keep on bringing up food though. I like learning about other cultures. You and I will be fast friends if food is the conversational topic. Trust me. Blue balls. I have my leg up, chat. That's why I swap views. I wonder how many hours I have just been chatting with people. Fact, the food always have been a topic every time I talk to somebody, right? For me, it's 22:05. I'll post some food I made in the Discord. Oh, did you make it? I'm curious. Let me check my Discord. A message from Matthew. Preparing for streaming, yes, and here I am, Matthew. Welcome, Barkeep A Gear. I'm just checking things, chat. Hold on. Welcome. It seems A Gear has not guessed the password just yet. Oh my, oh my. It's simple, you know. Take your time. I currently am eating Korean chicken wings. I I need some of those. I really need some of those. Oh man, hot dogs for me. Yeah, you like sausages, don't you? Axiom. Are you chilling? Yes, I am. Guess since food is part of my job, I'm a prep cook at a Roadhouse style restaurant. I prep everything from soup, wings, and barbecue ribs. Oh, that's delicious. Go ahead, Outlaw. What is it? Not that I'm gonna take it, but color me curious. All this food talk is making me hungry. Weren't you going to sleep? No, it was Cloudy that was going to bed. Firehawk says now time to relax a bit before I have to practice the bassoon and then go back to school for spring marching with the incoming freshmen. A marching band, I see. I remember being band leader before. Because I couldn't play any instruments, they gave me a funny whistle. I just had to do little hand gestures and then blow on my whistle. Drum? No, no, no. Tiot, Tiokboki. Tiotboki. Well, gosh, it's already been 1 hour. Can you believe that? How time flies so quick. Goodness. Just like that. I did not know I wasn't centered, chat. But you should have told me. I make manukit. Okay. Manukits are okay. It says, Vesper says, I used to work at the fast food restaurant. Portillo's, if anyone was curious, but it's more of a Midwest chain. Hot dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, burgers, tenders, fries. I used to jump from being a cashier to different stations often, so my brother called me Weenie Boy. Beep beep boop boop. Whenever I smell like the hot dogs we sold there, I see. Have you had raclette or fondue? Yeah, the cheese dips. I love cheese. Thank goodness I am not accursed with lactose intolerance, unlike most of my friends. Unfortunate for you. I really need to expand my chat because it's scrolling up rather quick. There. What's this? Super glad to be out of there, Riaz. Hi there, Vlad. Gus says I make a hearty creamy chicken and rice soup. Start with sauteing diced onions and celery in a kettle with margarine. Add water, chicken base, garlic, salt, a black pepper, cooked wild rice, and diced chicken. Drum major is what we call people who conduct the band during our marching show. It didn't sound like it was where you were, but where we are, it's a coveted role for the best students. I think they just picked me as like band leader because I was tall and handsome according to their standards. I was in a very very rural area when I was in a band back then. Like, do we call it a province? What's this? Egg gear. These are delicious. But please fill in your introductions first, okay? Follow the format. You can do that for me, right? Oh, I'm not gonna stare at it too long. Hydrate, huh? More drinking for me. Why does it always? Ah, man. Yeah. Oh my god. What headset do I use? Ah, yes. I'm using a Samsung Gear Plus Cardboard Pro Max. Welcome back, Bella. I think I'm going to have chicken pot pie, says Lone Wolf. Go ahead. Goldfish crackers are my favorite snack. Goldfish crackers? I hope it's just the brand name, not actual goldfish being mushed up into cracker form. That's a Quest Pro, Sorrow. It's cardboard, yeah? I wonder if Axiom has either eased into the growing pains of his somnium or he is going to consider the advice I gave him before things get devalued. Hmm. That's me saying we miss you in VR, Axiom. Have you ever had chicken pot pie before, Gemas? I do remember eating chicken pie, but I'm not sure if it's chicken pot pie. Nice, creamy. I think it has peas and carrots inside. I'm keeping my VR1, even getting a custom faceplate. Look at you, months into owning the VR1, but with nothing but walls. So much hangouts, interactions, nostalgia trips that we could be enjoying together. Just like old times. Mm. Well, I know Vesper misses you a lot too. Aegir, I saw your food. It was delicious. Now please fill in your introductions, okay? You have a day. Same goes to everybody that just joined my Discord. Yeah, think about it, Axiom. Imagine the amount of moments you're missing trying to wrangle something that just doesn't sit comfortably. Hmm. You're supposed to hop into VR and feel refreshed after. Not like you've like been through a marathon or something. Have you ever had white chicken chili? White chicken chili? Is that just chicken with? Oh, if it's like chili but with chicken in it, I think I did. How is the deer Gebo? I'm doing just fine. Thank you. Jester's probably talking to a mirror right now. See you, Hunter. I won't be here long because I'm lazy and bored. What's your type? That's a very broad question, with an even broader set of answers. What should I make for dinner today? Bad Life Advice Edition. It's simple. So you have some old cookies, right? If you have some old cookies, preferably something expired, so the molds have like gotten their magic done, you go crush it with a mortar and pestle until it's fine powdered. You go put some peanut butter on it, and then to top it off, I know, contradictory, 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Mix it until it's like a paste. Put it over a baking sheet and pan. Let it cook under the sun for 36 hours. That is what you're having for dinner. In a day and a half. Bruce says, I usually get sushi, Korean chicken wings, seafood boil, shrimp pasta, and more. Those are all things I am craving for right now. That I wish I had. Oh, that's my shoulder blades cracking. Want some shrimp Alfredo. I want some pasta, period. Do I buy lasagna again tomorrow? I don't know. If I could just have an asset in which like I grab my pockets and I pull it and then like white just comes out to signify it's empty. I just ate the seafood boil yesterday. Delicious. Man, I don't remember the last time I've had lobster. If I've had any at all, given how pricey the luxurious dish it is. Mm. What should I do on sleepless nights? Asked Ingrid. Bad life advice. You keep your hands busy. You use your non dominant hand that evening, and it usually helps. And when I say non dominant hand, you find like a rock or a ball and you go catch it after throwing it midair. Man. I had eggs. Respectfully, what, Sky? All I talk about is food every day. Nah, I do talk about food, yeah, pretty much every stream. I'm always let down whenever it's lobster crab. It's never as great as people make it to be. Not here in the Philippines. Oh, lobster and crab here is really good. Really good. Oh my, look at my tail just all springed up. I look like a Shiba Inu. Stupid box. Thank you. That's life-changing advice. We'll definitely do it. Preferably do it every evening. Do it in moderation. Further out. There. They probably season it wrong. That's true. Let me just move forward. There we go. Is this the stray background? Well, you have sharp eyes. It does look it, doesn't it? Vesper says it piques my interest to try crab and lobster now. Never had it due to my mom's allergy, but it sounds so good. Ha ha ha, says Ingrid. Right? If you want a real challenge, a pleasurable challenge is you try sitting in your hand like for 5 minutes and then it turns numb. And then it's gonna feel like you're juggling rocks and balls using a stranger's hand. It's like hard mode, but good. Gus doesn't seem to be that experienced in eating crab and lobster. Thanks, Cloud. What's this? It's crawfish season right now, and I'll make some crawfish a couple of days from now. Wow, look at you enjoying some good food. Did you just run over my Hi, good afternoon, Sea Fox. Oh, yeah, Sea Fox. Christian says, you have been one of my favorite avatars since I've stumbled across your stuff. I love your colors. Thank you. Yes. Oh no, why did you have to say lipstick for... Alright, that's... Yeah. Keep walking. That is lipstick 14, Twitch. Bad robot. Hi, Domain. Oh, hi there, Desert Fennec. I have crawfish before, but didn't like. You know what? I'm more of a shrimp guy. I actually have not consumed much crawfish in my life. Aren't they just like miniature lobsters? Shrimp is pretty good. The goose says neo noir. More like robot gone too far. At least it rhymes, I give you that. Opinions on protogens. They seem to be fairly common. Ironically, I don't have any protogen friends that I can call, but from the few interactions I've had on them, well, they seem to be rather silly creatures. I have yet to find one that is actually in a more level-headed and serious mind space. They all seem to be craving RAM. Hmm. Interesting creatures. Mini lobsters, yes. Why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties? Is what I heard one of my coworkers say. Your mod is 23% proto gen boss. Okay. Oh, this crown. I thought you were an owl. Very silly creatures. True. The super. What? Huh. I somehow avoided the ties. Look, I do believe you originally had one, but you just opted for a more open chested approach. It's rather restrictive, these standard ties. Mine is, well, it's unique. It's not exactly strangulating or anything. Yes, I fire Husky. Hmm. Opinion on history. A fount of knowledge, well, often unreliable. Hmm. I'm gonna hit the side. I'll see you around, see ya. Vesper says not keen on tight things on my neck anyway. The choker I do have though is thankfully adjustable. Yes. Besides, I like your look, the whole refreshing, aired out look. It's attractive. It's like 25 degrees in Manchester at 9 o'clock at the night. 9 o'clock. It is currently 4:28 a.m. here. It's the time I start my streams when I consider myself late. But here we are. Not so late, thankfully. The wink. Mm-hmm. Yep. Are you in Germany? No, I'm in Southeast Asia, the Philippines. Opinions on bears. They uh they're strong. They're I've yet to see a long-tailed bear, that's for sure. You're exactly 12 hours from me. Hi there. I'm half a day ahead. They're dangerous and territorial, according to Matthew. It's funny how after they come out of hibernation, they go produce their own version of Pringle cans. Mm-hmm. Wait, you're in the Philippines? Yes, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Itibili. Seems like I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. Yep, that you are correct, Iggy. I'm also around there. Curious. Oh, drift. Right. I think that's a different kind of bear you're talking about. Oh, so tempted. I'm so tempted to go inside and just be with Chef. But Chef's up. That's cooking, most likely. Oh. Yeah, that was the right controller. Well, it's behaving for now, but I can't get any guarantee that it's gonna stay that way. That's why the recordings have been put on a bit of a hold. I love me a matte black suit with hints of silk on the tie and handkerchief. Oh, that's Matthew Sunseeker's outfit. He has so much varied textures on his clothing, unlike mine. My old shabby coat. Break a leg, yeah, break his arm. Hi, Memo. What do you know? I have 1 more hour. Maybe 30 minutes. Let's see. Yep. Oh my, that's. It seems Vesper just got home. And she's logging in. 30 hours could do it. Oh, a message from home. Okay. I like how you stare into the abyss beyond the camp. I'm sorry. One of my friends has sent me a DM. Not much, Boster. I was just standing up because I needed to stretch. Bruce says, sometimes I get very sleepy in VR chat, but once I hop off, I'm not sleepy anymore. It means you have disconnected yourself from your source of comfort. Finally, the quiet. I had a low hum playing until I unplugged the jack. It's nice. Usually that happens when you have a grounded plug or socket, such as the woes of using 3.5mm jacks and other interfaces. Also, blue screen decrease. Ah, right. The effect of blue lights. Oh, why if it isn't Ollie? Ay, nagutom ako ah. Maybe I put something soft on the chair. Yeah. Where is it? Should work. I hope. Maybe not. Don't mind me. Oh. Just trying to make things more comfy. There we go. Much more bearable. Why does everyone say my name bad? Because you have 2 E's in it. Actually, you have 3. Hello, Kiro. Kuya Gem. Olea. So, it's don't blame us if you read it as like Olea. Not much better seeing. Just hanging around as always. No? There we go. I think Kuya Geb is better than Tito Geb. 100%. Hi, Leo. I wish I could just be named Goo, says Goo the Cerulean. But as you can see, imagine, yeah. I consider myself lucky having an alias that hasn't been claimed yet. Not quite as smooth in the tongue when you say it, Gebbos, but you grow used to it over time. I remember seeing the video on TikTok where my name was being mispronounced. I was being called Jebus. Strange. Why we have two Ceruleans in chat? We have Cerulean Cenote and Goo the Cerulean. No, I'm not Firehawk. What's your thoughts on the Quest 3 Pro? Pro? I'm not sure there's a Pro edition. I've yet to see it, actually. All I have is the Quest Pro. But Quest 3 Pro? Never heard of that. Oh, trust me. You do brain rot around me. The maximum trust level that we're gonna have is nothing but acquaintances. You do these funny-ish, loud soundboards. Pass. Why, if it isn't Lateralas? Hi. Axiom, sure. I don't know, maybe if Anonymous lubricates my whoa, that's wrong. My vocal cords, then sure. I only have experience using this and the Vive Focus Vision. The Quest Pro is convenient, it's comfortable. Just get the globular cluster kit. And the graphics are good. I'm back from my moment of sad. You know what's gonna be even more sad, Axiom? If you miss any more moments. I remember there being a saying where you gotta treasure each day, opportunity that presents itself. I go again. It's okay, Axiom. Why, if it isn't Vesper herself? Hello, love. Hold on, let's put the camera on her. Which one do we use? Let's use this one. And there's my companion. Hello, Vesp.
Hi.
Yes, that's my partner in crime, Vesper Stitches, mod, companion, partner in memes and games. Oh my god, why is it turning so fast? Oh yes. Anyway, make yourself comfortable. Like sit on that stool to your right or
This one?
anywhere. Or you can sit across me, like over there. See the railings over there? Over there. There we go. Yep. There.
Right over here?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how she can like slide across like a water skater? Hi, Vesper says Olympus. Johnny Bear says hello as well. What camera is that too? Evening Vesp says Matthew. Hi there, Warp Weaver. Now where were we? So we're gonna change the angle up a little bit. You can see both of us. Whoa, whoops. Sorry, Vesp. They saw your fantastic skin. Sliding more like a smooth operator. This is a good angle. Hmm. Only my hair wasn't clipping as much.
Only my tail would behave.
How about we just zoom in, Vesper? There we go. Beautiful. Perfectly in frame. Aperture a bit heavy, but... Oops. There. Okay, Vesper cam has been placed. So... Clip your moment with Anonymous. What? Ah, yes, that's Goo. Those comfortable, cold, rusted, dirty rails. Hey, those are like relatively well maintained. It's not so bad.
Gabe can vouch I've sat in weirder places anyways.
What Vesper said. Yeah. Ah, wow. Oh, vertebrae. Ooh. You okay?
Hey?
Alright.
Yeah, it's just been a while since I last threw my trackers on.
Ah, I see, I see. Well, I'm glad you're back. Vesper is a very busy person, Janet. As I've said, she is pretty much out of the house 7 days a week. She's stuck between.
Thankfully, I've got summer classes, so I'll be able to stay home more often then.
That's true. That's true. More Vesper for everyone. Whoa, it's Axiom right there. What do you know? Hey, buddy, why are you so down? Anyway, that commercial being done. Just joking, Axiom. I will join and beat you up. By all means, come join. Sit next to Vesper. Let's assemble the Final Fantasy party. You Tusha, you already showed up to stream before in a worse form. You were in your strange desktop webcam capture. But yeah, only if you're comfy. Anyway, I'll be doing most of the talking so you and Vesper can go chill by the ratings. That wasn't even my final form. Your character and her looks like twins. The only difference is colors. Because our base species isn't so far apart, actually. He's a Luna beast and I'm something else. Hi, Chad. Not a Nova beast here. Why, hello, Irish sweetly. High five them beans. I'm stretching my legs. I'm gonna eat. I mean, drink. Uh, no matter what the species, both of you are pretty. Thanks. Gab, you look like a fennec fox thing. Sure. Either evident night. What face tracker do you use? The Quest Pro. Don't worry, it's a common question I come across in streams. You know what's cool, Chan? Did you know that Vesper 2 is using a Quest Pro? That's why she's quite expressive. Same hardware setup we have. For full body tracking, she's using Slime. It's just the same as I am. So same headset, same setup for moving the body. I love radioactive beams. Immaculate vibes, thanks. Sorry if things are quiet. Yes. A little robot friend. Got lipstick for me. Hmm?
That should sound much better.
What?
Oh. Is it not working?
No, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
I actually can't find the Pro on Meta's web. Christian, it's because... Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, it's gone. It's because Meta discontinued the Quest Pro, I believe, December of last year. Since you're gonna be hard pressed finding headsets floating out in the wild that's brand new. Go rest, Olympus. John Pork, make sure you just don't drop your phone and such, okay? Italy, hello. King Ash. Evident Knight says, I want you to know I found your channel because of Instagram, and I love what you do. It's so calm and relaxing. To join your streams, even fell asleep to one of them once. You falling asleep to my stuff is probably one of the biggest compliments I can get. Is VR chat on PC? No. It's on Steam. It's accessible through various platforms. Steam or Steam VR. I mean, PC VR, or through your standalone headset, as they call Quest version, or even through your phone. It's okay, Dakoda. Wow, that's hard to say. No, it's okay, Evan. I got you. Don't worry about it. Go ahead. Chat, listen to me. Hey. If you're sleepy, go ahead. Go lie down. Go plug in your chargers. Switch to your phone. Pull the blanket over your body. Make sure you're cozy, comfortable. And then go to sleep. It was lovely having you here. Or you can have me playing in the background. And yeah. One thing I can guarantee in my stream is I won't be using any of those loud, startling soundboards that a lot of my acquaintances are so fond of. I'd be able to fall asleep to your stream if it wasn't 3:50 p.m. That's a bit early, huh? Evident Knight is asking, could I also ask for some genuine advice, Geb? As I'm stuck in the traffic. Alright, go ahead. What GPU do you have? I have a NVIDIA 1050 Ti. Yes, stick with that. Mhm. Now, while we're waiting for Evident Knight's question, let's see who the other chatter is. The streamer loves misinformation. Yeah. Or even better, no, Matthew, you have like the best GPU of them all, like the zero regrets purchased sort of GPU, the 4060 Ti. Oh, we just love 8 gig of VRAM in VR games, don't we? It naturally caps your FPS to 30 without you having to set it manually. Oh my. See you, Jonah. Good day to you, Kai Sui. Nah, no way, it's a 1050 Ti. You got me. I was using a 1060. The 3 gig version. Irish Sweetleaf says, that is indeed appreciated. I cannot recount the amount of times I've been startled by a metal pipe clang on stream. So I'm not really paying attention to it. If you use a metal pipe clang around me, that's gonna be the last time you're gonna see me. In VR chat, I'm not hanging out with you. Right, Vesp?
Yeah, no. Nope. Not a fan of it either. So as best you can, avoid that because number one, easily startles people. Number two, it's just annoying.
It really is. Oh, there we go. So, that being said, now you know the standards I have when it comes to keeping company. Evident Knight says, what do I do as I have a crush on my best friend who I've known for 10 plus years and I've recently been hanging out with him on VR? How do I tell him that I love him? I'm gay and he's straight and I'm scared about screwing it up. Well, one, you are armed with the knowledge of his sexual orientation. If you know that he is straight and you are gay and you wanna pursue him, I'm pretty sure you're aware of the risk factors involved, right? That probably outweighs the success factor. Now, if your friend was bi-curious, you would probably have a bigger chance, but in all honesty, I would just be brave, gay or not. I would just grow a spine and be brave. You know what? I think I kind of like you, but before that, let me say that I don't want to make things weird, and if the feelings aren't mutual, I'm completely okay with that. If that person really considers you a friend, they're not gonna be weirded out by it. I had somebody close confess to me a couple of months back. And you know what? There's such a great sport about it. I was very simple and sincere with the approach too. I said, I'm sorry. I don't think I would make fantastic boyfriend material when it comes to you. But you and I are certainly like best friend or super close friend material. And I love that. Don't worry, things are gonna be weird between us. I commend you for having the spine to actually say it. And that's what I told the person. And you know what? We're still close. Nothing weird, nothing at all. I am okay on my end. Now, if the other person was really selfish, though, which I hope you don't fall into, that's when things get into problems because you will be bummed out about the unrequited love. If you truly love your best friend and you know they can't really reciprocate it romantically, why don't you treasure the love that is in platonic form instead? Right? Unless you're clearly after something more. And I'm talking about the physical stuff. And I wouldn't really call that love. If it's just a matter about telling him your feelings, if it's just a matter of you telling the other person about your feelings if you like them, have some tact, see if it's the right time, the right place, they're in a good headspace, and just be casual about it. Right? Like, you know what? As I've said, I kind of like you. I think you're attractive, and I'm having a hard time not seeing you in this glowy, lighty sort of way. And me considering you precious, I sort of. No, not sort of. I know that I should tell you the truth. But yes, don't worry, I can take no for an answer. Totally cool. Driver says Geb was getting people confessing to him. So unsurprising. Uh, Look, you wouldn't want to peep into my DMs in social media. Lucky if it's just confessions or like, hey, I like you, I love you, and whatnot. But uh, I do get my fair share of rather distasteful things. That's for certain. Mm-hmm. Oh, or Vesper's
Some of
gonna
it I
chase
end up
them away.
banning on Twitch.
Yep. Yeah, Vesper's gonna like bulk them. Oh, I remember her beating up a whole bunch of hyenas earlier in game in Baldur's Gate 3.
Hey, it's not like we had any choice in that. They were attacking us first.
I fear for my neighbors, chat. So where were we? Knight says, it's just on VR. I get submissive around him and he doesn't question if it allows me to be myself around him. I can't let my guard down. I don't have to put on. Look, if it's VR, all the more then. You just say it. You know, I kind of like you. Are you cool with that or is there a chance? If no, then that's totally okay. Don't be nervous. Remember, if you don't like regret is something that is heavy if it's something you didn't try. Failure over trying is something at least you can smile about. You can say that at least I tried, right? I made the effort to. I call hearts. Alright, Vin. Quick coin flip for you. Well, Vin, congratulations, you won. Hearts. Take the coin. Yeah, just remember, don't corner him, Knight. Just be casual about it. The best advice. Astifax says, I always said failing after trying is just learning than a regret. Wise words. Thanks for giving me a break. I appreciate it. Trying to help people in their troubles is big enough of a job as it is. ban. Firehawk says, I feel the anonymity. English, please. I know it's English. I feel the anonymity of Twitch and your demeanor allows you to, in a sense, function as a counselor. Whether or not it feels like it. Here I am giving like advice to younger people. Iris says, by the way, I'm not Irish. My name is Iris, as in like the flower, or that stuck-up Greek goddess of rainbows. Or the colorful pie of the eye. I hail from Sweden, but you putting on the accent was kind of... Did I put the accent? Oh man, I must have been a subconscious thing. What do you know? Who's this? If it isn't the garden fresh salad. As we'll be seeing him soon. What? The coin? This coin? I got you, Ivan. I think so. I think I noticed it a bit, but maybe it's just me. How did I read it? I think so. No, I didn't put an accent. I think I noticed it a wee bit, but maybe it was just me. Maybe if it was like that. What would you do if I ate your corn? You can keep it. I'm not shoving my arm down your throat.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope.
And
Nope.
yeah,
No,
no,
buddy.
you're lost going to the ER too to get that out, because neither of us are paying for that.
Yep. Anyways, I'm gonna go to bed, Gebus, says Evident Night. I got work tomorrow, early shift, but I do really appreciate what you said. I'll take it to heart. You know what, Night? Best of luck. Whatever outcome it may have, at least you tried, right? That's what you need to put in mind and heart. Now go rest. Come on, close my tab. Don't delay from resting. It's okay, Iris. Oh, hello, tracking. Come back. Guess not. Are you guys given standard issue sidearm? It's that's a complicated thing to answer. It's a case-to-case basis per person on the field. That's what I can say. Sometimes you just don't need firearms because you have a tool that is more effective than a simple pistol. Come on, buddy, come back. The salad.
Good head of lettuce.
Yeah. Thanks for the roses, Vin. Ah. What to do when you get a shout out but don't stream? Ask Angel. You pretend you're a super big time 1 million follower streamer, that's why. I called the skull this time. Alright, Vin. Let's try. Well, seems like third time is not the charm. It landed on hearts yet again. Yes, my hand does not want to go back to where it... There we go. Yes. Hello, them. JPTH. Japanese in Thailand. Oh, goodness. Oh, my backhand hurts. Ah.
Could you sleep weird again?
No, I'm sitting on a stool. I'm sitting in a very
Oh, right.
uncomfortable look. You see this thing?
You're just sitting right on the edge.
I'm sitting right on the edge, yes. Ugh. Not
I mean,
exactly
to
the
be
most
fair, I'm
comfortable.
sitting on a railing too.
I'm standing up.
Not
Mm-mm.
exactly the most comfortable spots.
Ow. Oh. Shoot. Okay. Alright. Better. Ah, where were we? Alright. Stretchy, stretchy. Yes, this is VR chat. What tool? Tool? Oh, we're talking about our field kits. Why, Demonic Coin subscribe with Prime? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Driver says, talking about advice. Yesterday I opened VR chat for the first time and I felt completely overwhelmed by how many options are there to do just to get your first avian game. I didn't even get to join a world, but many things to do. Trust me, it will become second nature in time. Oh, you okay, Vance?
Yeah, just getting up.
Okay.
Was my height reset or something?
You look rather
Nice.
Maybe. Wait, no, Vance. Wait. It's me.
Oh, hold on. Should I scale up then?
A bit, maybe.
What to say?
One
What?
point. 1.8. I'm standing up because my back is sore, chat. Astifax says, tomorrow I'm starting to working on my second avatar in Archer Base. The first avatar commissioned by friend, my Rex. Okay, alright. Good luck. Earlier, I too was in Unity. I need to see if the thing I added actually works. Need something? Yes? What you say?
Oh no. Not this again.
There we go. Perfect. Gotta frame it there. Mhm. Hi, chat. Isn't she just the most attractive looking gal? It's really hard to keep your eyes peeled on her. Big O thumbs up. 100 billion%. Anyway, where were we? What do you mean by field kits? You notice the little pouch I have? Yeah, those. Yeah. Oh, it's my arm in the way. My bad, chat. With that,
Yeah, Geb's got a field kit. I don't.
yeah, with that, my rear has blood circulating through it yet again. Thank goodness. Chat, let me give you some free advice. When your butt starts getting numb when you say it, stand up. It's not good. Oh, I think my watch is fine as it is, driver. Okay, Angel. I need to ask where the smoke is coming from. Vin! It's not smoke, it's my breath. I have a rather controlled pace of breathing, as you can see. There we go. Let me just sit myself properly. Where was I? Oh, nope. Hmm. Do you have any other fun stuff? Fun stuff? I only bring the necessities. I mean, I have my field light. I have my field prop up mobile base. A bunch of furniture. Vesper has me, just in case I am not there. Well, you look at that, chat. Can you see the similarities? That's me, chat. Vesper has a one-of-a-kind Gebos plushie. It emits light. It has a small amount of voices. And whatnot. I need to buy that IRL. Unfortunately, that's a one-of-a-kind thing. Hi, Axiom. Come on, go sit here, Ax. Do you see that? It's Oblivion's adoring fan, but here in VR chat, what do you know? But yes, come on, Ax. Make yourself comfy. See? Gebus, I thought you were a lone wolf. As you can see, I have company.
Come on, we don't
I
bite.
just-
Come on.
I just
Hi.
pick.
Hi.
Ah. I'm sorry, Chan. Oh yes, there you have it. Axiom, yeah, says Matthew. So here, you can see two of my closest friends. I mean, obviously Vesper, you know her already, but Axiom is the type who will go down burning with the ship, yes. No, I said
Axiom, come on.
that was my analogy to loyalty, but yes. How dare you tease us with the almighty Geb plushie? See, really look at that. Ain't that cool, chat? Wow.
Why do you
Thank-
have to bully it? Come on. It's not a voodoo doll.
I
Thank
didn't say I will
goodness
go
it's
beat
not.
the heck out of him.
Uh-huh. See? Look, Axiom has decided to seize the moment instead of making it pass. Should give him a round of applause, chat. Oh, yes. Ah. Oh, yeah, there. In He's a little chaos creature, I see. Look, he's not color green for goblin. No, without reason. Look at that. Green, G, for, as you call it, goober. Whatever that term actually means. I've innocent mystic. Hi there. Nice to see you. What's this? Happy Fox says, time zones and schedules unfortunately mean I can't join streams, but I still get to enjoy them through the recordings on YouTube. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you in the comments. Right? At least I post my VODs there for people that want to watch, but unfortunately miss them. I love you that much, Jan. I survived the storm and flood. Mystic, the tough hole, not. That did not sound fantastic, but you get my analogy, Chan. Oh, if it isn't Exodus. There you go, Exodus. Well, you look at that. That's Vesper right there. Any message you wanna tell her? Yeah, man. Now's your chance. I'll see you around, Olea. Glitch yes, but I can't yap to a recording, so streams are better. I see.
That is true.
He's so adorable, right? Yeah, give a big smile to the camera. Why? Welcome home, Misty. Look at the sway that Vesper has, right? Very
I'm just shifting my weight from leg to leg. Go.
I see. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When I laughed, like spit started flying out of my mouth. Oh my god.
Don't die.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Chad. That's. Composure, Gab. You need a bib. Oh, if I could just construct one made out of money, sure. Mystic says, don't worry, I'm dried off so I won't get sick. I don't want Mama Vespi coming after me. No wet Mystic for you, chat. What? I was not incorrect, right?
You better dried off.
Yep. Gab, can I ask you a question twice? One for bad life advice and one actual good. Alright, sure, go ahead. Well, go ahead. Mystic being dry? I don't know if that's a rarity or something more common. Oh my, it seems Vesper has to take a phone call from the agency and now we're just left with the adoring fan. Actually, it's Axiom Atom. Axiom, how long have we known each other here in VR chat? It's been a good year, right? Right, I think it's been a year. Man, time flies by so fast. Mystic says
Less than a year.
less than a year.
I think so.
I wasn't even dressed up for virality back then when we met. I think it was April.
It was in this apartment. Yeah. When I moved, yeah, so it's been a year.
It's been a year. See, me and Axiom have had a long, year-long friendship. So yeah. Interesting question. So yeah, anyway, yeah, Mystic says she's a shark, so majority of the time she's gonna be wet. Aquatic creature and all, that's what I mean. Yep. Slippery slip. Smells fishy. In a good way. Anywho, good life advice and bad. Let's read. Driver asks, how do you deal with frustration? The feeling of you not being enough? Bad life advice? It's simple, really. You know how in games there's potions to reset like everything, your status, your skills, and sometimes they completely wipe your character. The analog to that is getting something called bleach, 300 milliliters, one glass, and then yes, I didn't tell you how to use it. I just said yes. Anywho, the good life advice: how do you deal with frustration? One, you gotta ask yourself, where's this frustration coming from? Is this something I can control or something I can't? Right? I mean, I'm waiting for you to give me context. But if it's just frustration in general, predominantly that stems from comparing yourself with others. You see achievements that others has and you attempt at it. You take a stab at it per se. And it just didn't turn out the way you wanted. Or maybe it's just really a passion project and it's yourself you're comparing to. And that's worse actually because you are your own harshest critic. But think of frustration as an analog to passion instead. You're frustrated because you care so much about that particular something that it actually affects you, which also can be converted into energy, into motivation. Feed the frustration, the problem. It's a sort of muddled version of motivation, really, if you think about it. But if you're frustrated and just sitting on your butt not doing anything about it, well, you deserve the frustration. When you have a problem, do something about it, chat. Expend your options. If you cannot solve it on your own, no matter what you do, don't give up. You expand your circle of options. You now ask people close to you, your family. If your family is not present, you start asking your friends. I remember running into trouble recently, and then I asked a friend for help. They offered all the help they could. They also checked the options they could to help with my frustrations. And yeah, just expand your circle. Remember, you're never really out of options when it comes to things, even when it seems to be a dead end. What seems to be an alleyway just heading towards a brick wall with no left, right, or forward, and you can't move backward, that wall of yours can become a canvas, an empty canvas in which you can create art, memories with. Write a journal, do something about it. Make the roadblock in your progress a moment of respite where you sit down, think, assess what's going on. Right? You think hard. Why am I here? Why is it frustrating? Why can't I move forward? Why can't I just brute force this? Right? I'm clearly in the direction I want to go, right? But maybe I am simply approaching this wrong. Maybe my goals are unrealistic. Thinking what is actually is the best is actually isn't. Sometimes people think that the top of the mountain is the end all be all of a goal. No, chat. Sometimes you just climbing to the foot or like the middle of it will just make you just as happy. Why? Because in the middle are people who are not able to climb to the top, enjoying their picnic on a blanket with breathable air, not scarce oxygen from being so high up. You don't have to try so hard to be number one in everything, chat. Find success in various forms you may have not considered before. Right, Axia? Yeah. What's this? When you were part of the marching band, were you doing a straight leg march? Yup. It was weird. What's this? Let's say you had a test as driver. You were confident about it. You studied, you worked hard, but in the end, the world just crushed you and spat you in the face. The professor believed you had potential but showed you otherwise. Well, it means you just plain suck. And then you move on and find a different avenue. Don't. It's sort of like the math question dilemma. Don't get stuck on one number. There's so many much more stuff you can answer and go to. There's nothing wrong with admitting you're terrible at something, even if you exert 300% effort at it. Maybe it's just not meant to be, you know? But remember, you don't have to railroad yourself towards that. There's so many ways to skin a cat. Maybe skinning a cat isn't what's actually going to be the best for you. What's this? What's better, 1,000 cookies or 1,000 cupcakes? I would rather have the cookies. You wanna know why? I wouldn't know where to put all the cupcakes. What if they start spoiling? Cookies, though, I can just put them in an airtight container that can fit beneath my desk and I can consume them at my own leisure. Yes? Yes? What's up? Okay. Oh, my back. I'm standing up again. Oh, shit. Okay. That's random. Okay. Know who you are? Mm-mm. Sorry, I'm just checking my Discord chat. You gotta ask yourself this question, Glitch. Says who? Yes? Oh, right. For cinematic purposes, I have scaled up action, as you can see. Let's bring the camera back to my hand. So, as you can see, that is Axiomatum. My hands. You're also in the ground, silly. There you go. GoPro this view. Yep, that's it. Also, chat, that is the restaurant that I usually stream at. It's yep, if you can tell me what the title, like the thing says, I would appreciate it. Sit. Hmm. Let Gebu tell you how much he turned out. What? What do you mean? Am I still inside it? Okay. Exodus is asking. Bad life advice edition. Let's say I had $5 to either spend it on a cool item or gambling. What should you do? You know what to do. You give it to your pal to gamble for you. That's the best bad life advice I can give you. What's this? Axiom, ask Vin. 1,000 cookies or 1,000 pancakes? What would it be?
Pancakes, because I can stack them
Pancakes.
up, put them in a hydraulic press, and then eat
Like
them
really
as well.
tall, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Did you know that Axiom is actually immune to diabetes? He has a strange constitution, probably because he's made of plant matter. That's why he has no problems processing sugars. Yes. Hi there, kid. Hydrate, huh? Axiom. Chat is asking you to like sip some something. Mm-hmm. Come on, put it in your mouth and swallow. Get some water. Hydrate really, right, Jan? I'm sure Axiom will listen. I know how close you are to your kitchen. All right, let's just assume Axiom drank. All right. So where were we? Since I got a drink too. Axiom, how are you and how is your company doing? Asked Ivan.
Feeling rich today, eh? What?
Yeah,
What?
you're feeling rich today, right? I'm put some here.
Yeah, did
Hey,
Anonymous already delivered you some, don't worry.
Vince says I have to say it, but put it in your and son. Hey, I'm just direct with my words. I didn't say anything wrong. Somebody in chat wanted they hired me, and me being the concerning friend of Axiom, of course, want him to go hydrate, imbibe in some water. So of course I have to simplify my vocabulary to my dear friend. So here I am saying what I said earlier, right? Just go drink some water. Don't worry, chat. I'm sure I'm going to restock on the little Flintstones vitamins and give Maxim a new bottle. It's delicious. You like that, right, Axiom? It's good. It's good. Vitamins. Good. Candy's good. Multi-flavored, colorful candy's good. Yes. Axiom, drink water or else says Mystic. Uh-oh. Alright, so while Axiom is walking towards his invisible water bottle, like my invisible tea glass, teacup, we shall pan back here. You rather have unlimited bacon and no video games, or the opposite? I think bacon. I'd be rich as heck if I could sell all the bacon in the world. Hi there, Tyler. Easy. How does Axiom feel about Jolly Ranchers? Jolly Ranchers? Jolly Ranchers, Axiom.
I never had one. They're an American thing, right? I think. I don't know. I'm in Europe. We don't have fancy things like that.
You know, from what I heard, Axiom told me he was enjoying his sausage earlier. So, what was that? Like a Frankfurter, a expensive fancy sausage with like string on it?
It was the cheapest sausages I could find in the store.
Ah, okay, delicious. Right. Do the moon on the face. Hold on. Ah, Gebu, them clit fine beef. Oh, no. Oh my god, don't clip it. I'm scrolling up. I'm back reading. Well, I'm glad it helped, driver. Really did. Asti Fox says, the most hated feeling for me I had is when I'm feeling like I'm not able to do anything about the specific situation. Like sometimes I'm losing the steering wheel and like a ghost watching a movie. Ah, yeah, same. Now that is what they call frustrating. But something you can't control, but you're in it. Mystic goes back to the topic of Jolly Ranchers. She says they can be hard or soft. I like them both and they just last a good minute. Just don't bite into it. Just... I had a hard time visualizing that properly. Because one, I don't know what Jolly Ranchers are either, but seeing as she's a shark and it makes her jolly and it's raunchy. Actually, what do you think Jolly Ranchers are? Are they like small pieces of chicken that you dip in mayo or sour sauce?
I don't know. I heard the name.
I have no idea either.
Stringy things? Sour
Mm.
stringy things?
Oh, Jolly Ranchers are a candy. Says Firehawk.
Yeah.
It's candy. You too. You mean the little like licorice looking stuff? It's like you peel it and it's the yeah I think I know what you mean. Look, man, when I go to the candy store, I just ask the lady or the guy, hey, give me all the rocks that are actually chocolate in it. And then I have a separate bag that's filled with the fake vampire teeth, the funny blue and white shark candy, and then yeah, and then the gummy worms that are super sour, a little bit of the not sour ones for I don't know why. And then yeah, I actually really love candy, chat. It's just I can't eat too much of them. Gotta watch my sugar. Sour, fruity, hard candy. It says you're yes. Yes. Oh man, I want some right now. What was that brand of bubblegum I used to buy before? It wasn't Juicy Fruit. Yeah, I have Juicy Fruit, the yellow one and the green one. This was called Lotte, Lotte or Lot. And then they had the blueberry flavor. It was so nice. It was like bluish purple. And it tasted fantastic and gave it the most pleasant breath. Oh, a lot of my classmates would know about that. But yes, it was delicious gum. I wish it still existed, or at least I haven't looked hard enough. Maybe it's still in store. Oh, welcome back.
Hey?
Hi there. Look at that. Vesper's back. You zoom in their lovely faces. That is action.
Walk directly into me. Rude.
Oh, hello. Vesper, do you know what Jolly Ranchers are? Ask a
Yeah.
chatter. What are Jolly Ranchers?
They're just these little like hard candies, like your classic corn syrup, sugar, and water to make like a clear candy.
Okay.
And then they're just a bunch of different fruity flavors like say blue raspberry, green apple, watermelon, cherry. So let's off
Okay.
a few of them.
Okay.
They're hold on. Ooh, okay. Move a little. They're like a little sour, but still sweet.
Sorry, the camera. There we go. A little sour. I see. Yeah. Oh, Bye, Matthew. See you around.
Bye, Matthew.
See ya. Been a while since I had bubble tea. Oh, I remember that. I would do the blasphemous thing and just like open the container and eat it, bite into it. Yep. Hmm. Exodus says, I came back at the wrong time and took that variant. What did I miss? You missed nothing. There's Vesper. There's Axiom. Yeah. Back. Come on, Vesper. How about you tell us a little bit about Exodus here? I am curious of this person. Yes, Exodus has been supporting my lives quite a bit.
Well, from what I know, he's 23. I met him back in 2020 when I was.
Oh my god, don't dox his age.
Yeah, no.
Titeet. Big X. Start over from the top. All right.
All right. So, from what I know, he is a very big Pokemon enthusiast. He's a furry, like me. If I recall correctly, his persona is Umbreon and Kitsune. Kitsune.
Kitsune. Okay.
He is currently quest only, but he is planning on setting together a PC of his own.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good luck with that, Exodus. Exodus is the bit card information is. Says Trifer.
No,
my God.
I'm just saying, he and I are similar in age, so
All right.
it's
Okay.
probably no wonder we get along.
I just need a GPU and I'm good to go. Ah, so close. Okay. Well, with that being said, Vesper, Axiom, and Geb, have you ever had blueberry ice cream? I
No.
think, now that I think about it, I don't think I have. Maybe gelato. The gelato, yeah. It's so premium. That's what I'm gonna describe it as, premium. Like if ice cream had a soul, gelato has like soul and everything else doesn't. It's hard to describe. Like it's such a full-bodied experience in flavor compared to the usual. But yeah. Stretch. Wait. Culprit. Ow. Whoa! We are at 2 hours and 38, chat. I do believe it is time to say goodbye to me and my companions. How about we start the farewells? No, the goodbyes from Axiom and Vesper here. Come on, guys. I bet they'd love to see you. There, we fit in frame. Say goodbye to them.
You want to go first, Axiom?
Yeah, Axiom. Come on. They know how you sound. Don't be shy.
Goodbye.
There's Axiom, chat. And then here's Vesper. Come on, Ves.
Alright, bye, chat. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and be sure to sleep plenty. Catch you next time.
So yeah, with that being said, chat, thank you for tuning into today's rather brief stream. I'll be online again day after tomorrow, which is a Friday my time or probably Thursday yours. And I really need to get back to recording now that my control is partially working. Come on, open your hands. But yeah, without further ado, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'll catch you next time, chat. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. You be good now, okay? So I can't even point my finger. Controllers, come on. Never mind. Wait. All right. Here comes the extended segment in which Geb checks if there's anybody to raid. Day 3. Ooh, Tyler won his stream. No, not that one. Let's check the VR chat category. Ooh. Wow. These are some big time streamers. 900 okay, all right. Reva, Rokohaku, Madlams, Zari Boss, Pokey. Hey, oh my god, please don't name yourself Pokey. P-U-K-I. That means something else in my country. All right. FWE stream. Let's look at like the ones with like 5 viewers below. Maybe they need some help. Come on, bat, snow leopard, hyena, where are you? Oh well, there's none, so it looks like we aren't going to be raiding anybody. With that being said, chat, I bid you all goodbye. Bye, TikTok. Also, goodbye, Twitch. Yeah. First time you close shop fast, I'm actually on schedule.